Here are the stories we're covering this week in the Category 5.tv newsroom. It's decided. Facebook will be fined a whopping $5 billion over the Cambridge Analytica scandal. The fully interactive Doctor Who VR game, The Edge of Time, is arriving in September. An artificial intelligence system created by researchers at the University of California has solved the Rubik's Cube in just over a second. And Intel has unveiled its new AI system, Pohoiki Beach. It's a neuromorphic computer capable of simulating 8 million neurons. These stories are coming right up. Don't go anywhere.
This is the Category 5.tv newsroom, covering the week's top tech stories with a slight Linux bias.
I'm Sasha Rickman, and here are the top stories we're following this week. It's decided. Facebook will be fined a whopping $5 billion over the Cambridge Analytica scandal. The Consumer Protection Agency in the U.S., the Federal Trade Commission, or FTC, began investigating Facebook in March of 2018 following reports that Cambridge Analytica had accessed the data of tens of millions of its users. As it turns out, the political consultancy firm was able to improperly obtain the data of up to 87 million Facebook users. The investigation focused on whether Facebook had violated a 2011 agreement in which it was required to clearly notify users and gain express consent to share their data. In a 3-2 vote, the record $5 billion settlement was approved by the FTC. The fine still needs to be finalized by the Justice Department's Civil Division, and it is unclear how long this may take. If confirmed, it would be the largest fine ever levied by the FTC on a tech company. Facebook had been expecting this. It told investors back in April that it had put aside most of the money, which means that the firm won't feel much added financial strain from this penalty. What we don't know yet is what additional measures may be placed on the company, such as increased privacy oversight, or if there will be any personal repercussions for the company's chief executive, Mark Zuckerberg. The settlement, which amounts to about 1/4 of the company's yearly profit, will reignite criticism from those who say that the fine isn't much more than a slap on the wrist. $5 billion is not a slap on the wrist.
It feels a little larger to
like $5 billion is a big fine. It is.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're going to ignore the fine, right?
No,
like they're not going to continue.
They've already put most of that money away, which means
that's nuts.
They had access to most of that money.
We'll take that out of our surplus.
Right. You want to make it hurt? You go beyond that. I quite frankly, I do think it was a slap on the wrist. And I was reading an article that there was a jump in shares after the fine was announced. Why, I have no clue. But the jump in shares almost produced the same amount of money that they were fined.
Wow.
People are in love with Facebook.
That's nuts.
So it's like, oh, bad publicity. Good on Facebook. Oh, we just made the money back. Like, to me, that's stupid.
From a legal standpoint, like, what have they accomplished? That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Right.
They've accomplished nothing, virtually.
Right.
What are they going to do with that $5 billion?
It's going to go into the federal coffers.
Huh.
What I want to know is this going to produce lawsuits? Like, is somebody going to say, I'm suing you now, Facebook. You've been found to be in violation.
I was one of those victims.
Yeah, I was a victim, and my life has been impacted because now I see these advertisements that I never wanted to see before.
Making me spend my money. I need you to reimburse it.
But I mean, I could see a class action suit coming out of this. I mean, is it going to amount to much? Probably not. But
right.
I just, quite frankly, with all the money that Facebook makes and all of the intrusive nature that they have built their company around, I think $5 billion is a joke.
What would you set it at?
I would have put it at around 15.
Huh. I would not. $15 billion.
Yeah.
Too much.
But the other thing is, I think this is a settlement. I don't think it was a straight up fine. I think they cut a backroom deal, so they knew it was coming.
It's still
Possibly.
1/4 of the annual earnings. If I had to spend 1/4 of my earnings on a fine, I would be eating Mr. Noodles.
I think we're in a different tax bracket.
I've been eating Mr. Noodles for a year.
But like, think about it. That fine is 1/4 of their yearly revenue purely from selling your personal data. That's what they do.
I am, yes, I am
Like-
not defending Facebook. Remember, I am not even on Facebook anymore. That's how saddened I was by all of this privacy breach.
Yeah, and I don't think Zuckerberg's out the window. They're not going to touch him.
No.
Like,
I'll tell you what, like as a user, as a programmer, the whole Cambridge Analytica thing, what has it meant to me is strictly frustration to the point where I've canceled all Facebook services within my company.
Right.
Like I no longer provide
Right.
Facebook services to our customers. I had somebody even message me asking me to set up an Instagram profile, and I said, go elsewhere. I'm not going to do it. I'm not dealing with that company anymore.
see, here's the thing that bothers me a little bit about the story, and I know we got to move on to another one. You look at when Elon Musk made his tweet about cutting some deal overseas or something that never came true, and suddenly he had, from the Trades Commission, had a year of sanctions for Twitter, and he had somebody, like an ethical person, follow him, and like, like there was a lawyer attached to it. So like there was this big deal. Whereas Facebook releases millions of people's personal information, and they go, pay us some money. Like, where is the impact on the company?
Yeah.
I think there should be a whole lot more that comes with it.
I think the impact on the company is companies saying, I'm not dealing with Facebook anymore.
But look at
I'm
the
not buying advertising space on Facebook. Now, we have a Facebook profile,
Right.
a Facebook page for Category 5 TV because there are a lot of users. And so we want it to be accessible to you. But personally, I don't use it and I don't
Right.
support it.
Like, look
And
at
that's
the whole
what it's
Face
led
app
to.
that blew up again this week. And all the personal data that's being taken from that. People just don't care. Like, the public doesn't care. And I realize it's a broad anyway.
Yeah, I don't like
I'm
to
going on a
generalize, and I apologize for the generalization because you may be saying, no, I do care.
Yeah.
I absolutely care. I've
Right.
canceled my account, or maybe I didn't even sign up for one because I didn't agree with their terms of service. But the fact remains, like, we are in a different era now than we were 10 years ago.
Yep.
The types of data thievery that are happening in things like social media didn't exist 10 years ago, and so the law has to catch up.
Yep.
We know that. Like, there's so many different... we could talk about MPAA, we could talk about all these things, and they haven't caught up yet. And maybe it's just one step, at least. Maybe it's not about Facebook. Maybe it's not going to dent them, but maybe it's going to protect users from the next big breach,
Yeah.
because the next big breach
hopefully.
is still on the up and up.
Hopefully.
Right? We don't really know. It's big picture stuff.
The fully interactive Doctor Who VR game, The Edge of Time, is arriving in September. The Doctor has been hurled through time to the end of the universe. A virus that threatens to rip apart reality itself has been unleashed. Players can pilot the TARDIS on a journey across the worlds, both familiar and strange, to recover a series of powerful time crystals that can repair space-time and ultimately save the universe itself. Following the recent reveal of the animated VR experience, Doctor Who: The Runaway, a new cinematic feature-length Doctor Who VR video game is coming this September. Published by PlayStack and developed by Maze Theory, Doctor Who: The Edge of Time will transport fans into a globally beloved world of aliens, mystery, and wonder, letting them embark on a brand new and fully interactive adventure, inspired by the show's 55-year history and starring the Doctor's current incarnation, played by Jodie Whittaker. Armed with the iconic sonic screwdriver, players will solve mind-bending puzzles, grapple with classic monsters, and encounter new horizons in a quest to find the Doctor and defeat a powerful force that threatens to destroy the fabric of reality. They will face the infamous Daleks?
Daleks, yeah.
Daleks?
We have one here on the set.
And other known faces from the Doctor's universe, plus some brand new, never-before-seen monsters as they travel through stunning cinematic environments that truly bring the show to life.
Okay, so first of all,
That's a
Dalek. Yeah.
I am waiting.
I feel
I'm gonna watch
crowded
the whole
now.
thing at
Exterminate.
once.
Okay, so my kids are going to be thrilled about this. I'm thrilled about this. First of all, the storyline sounds like my day-to-day life.
It sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. These days they can do so much. And the Jodie Whittaker is, in fact, involved in the actual game. It's going to be a lot of fun for Jodie Whittaker fans and
Sure.
the 11th Doctor fans as well. So this is great.
Yes.
And we've got also the Orville interactive fan experience, which is
Yes.
coming to Steam within the next couple of weeks. Like the coming soon is already on Steam, so do a search for the Orville. So we're looking at like some of the great sci-fi shows right now are going to be playable VR games.
Yes.
That's cool.
It's very cool.
So
Very fun.
looking forward to this one too. Thank you, Sasha.
You're welcome. I love VR. An artificial intelligence system created by researchers at the University of California has solved the Rubik's Cube in just over a second. Deep Cube A, as the algorithm was called, completed the 3D logic puzzle, which has been taxing humans since it was invented in 1974. Professor Pierre Baldi, who authored the report in Nature Machine Intelligence, said, quote, "It learnt on its own." The researchers noted that its strategy was very different from the way humans tackle the puzzle. Professor Baldi says, "My best guess is that the AI's form of reasoning is completely different from a human's," end quote. The computer algorithm is not the first or the fastest non-human to solve the puzzle. That honor goes to a system devised at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, dubbed the Min2Phase algorithm, which solved the puzzle 3 times faster. But that system did not use a neural network, which mimics how the human brain works, or machine learning techniques. By contrast, it was programmed specifically to solve the puzzle. Creating a system that teaches itself to complete the challenge is seen as the first step toward creating an AI that can move beyond games to solve real-world problems. Professor Baldi says, quote, "The solution to the Rubik's Cube involves symbolic, mathematical, and abstract thinking. So a deep learning machine that can crack such a puzzle is getting closer to becoming a system that can think, reason, plan, and make decisions," end quote.
This sounds awesome.
This is an interesting story. I get the rationale behind using it to learn to solve a Rubik's Cube, but the Rubik's Cube has been solved. Like, you go online and you can, it's like, do this, and there's a sequence you follow.
Is that how I can do it?
Yeah.
It took how many
Except
seconds
that
for this
that's
machine?
not how the machine did it.
Right. No, I get that.
Yeah.
But it's
It learned a new
interesting.
way.
It's interesting. Life finds a way. It's an interesting way of how they've used it. But at the same time, I'm going, pick something that isn't as solved
Right, but
as a
they
Rubik's
can't
Cube.
Missing the point.
I'm not missing the
okay,
point.
But they
Absolutely
need
you
to.
are.
Okay, so they need to prove how fast it can solve something by testing it against something that's already
But also
solved.
how it solves it.
Yeah.
Ask me an
That's
abstract
interesting.
question. Just ask me any question. Just something completely out there.
How many particles of fuel do you get behind a jet stream?
See, I don't know the answer to that. I have no clue. And I can answer that. Gosh, you could have asked me one that I could at least answer.
You said any question.
But the fact here is that, okay, so I've sat down with a Rubik's Cube.
Yep.
Yes.
At the cottage because, you know, you got to pass time
Yeah.
just being lazy. And not that there's anything lazy about a Rubik's Cube. I'm an intelligent guy, though.
No, it's good for stimulating the brain.
Yeah, and I'm an intelligent guy, but I don't think I've ever solved it.
No.
I think I've gotten to the point where I'm just frustrated. I got like 2 sides, and I'm like, forget this.
My grade 11
So
math
I
teacher was
actually
looking
pulled the
at
pieces out and reassembled it.
As a kid, I de-stickered it and redid it. So just consider that, okay, so I gave up as a human.
Yep.
Now, this is a computer algorithm powered by AI technology, a neural net. So the closest thing to a neural net that we've basically seen, like we're really starting to see these things. So think like Lieutenant Data starts to think for itself. So here's the challenge. So I've said to this computer, here's the challenge. You need to make the colors match.
Yeah, just over a second.
That's all that they've told it. That's it. That's it. That's
Yep.
the end game. And the computer has said, okay, boom, 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 figured it out.
Yes.
And trial and error, and maybe if I try this, and figured it out.
Right. No, and I get
That's amazing.
it is, and the fact that it did it in just over a second. Like, I get it.
A second.
Well, that isn't that what it said in
yeah,
the story? It's just over a
exactly.
second. Like, it solved it in just over a second, which is amazing.
So solved it, but figured it out. Not just like, it's not like they said, okay, I'm going to program it to turn it this way, turn it that way, turn it that way. No, they said this is what you need to do,
Yep.
solve it. And the computer figured it out.
It is amazing technology that will change the world.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
So on the positive side, you say to this similar technology, how can we solve an environmental crisis?
Right.
How can we get the oil spill out of the bay?
Right.
And it can. This is the idea:
Easily,
is that
yeah.
we're going to get to the point where we can ask those kinds of questions of an AI, of a computer. You think Google's fast? You think Google's impressive with its results? Well, this is going to blow your mind.
Sure will. The thing with this story that makes me go, a little bit is the fact that it solved it in a completely different logic pattern than the way that humans do.
Yeah, it thinks differently.
It does, which is wonderful. But if they're looking to have AI mimic humans to allow it to do the work, to then take that and go, okay, what about this complex thing that we haven't been able to figure out, leads to logical thought that says it's going to come up with a solution that we can't wrap our heads around.
That's the inevitable question of
Right.
how do we control AI?
So
that's
I think
the biggest question right now.
And I think that is the whole part of this story that excites me the most, is that it's not about the Rubik's Cube. It's about, this is how it thinks. Okay, how do we adjust the AI programming to think like we do? When they could do that, that's a whole nother game changer, because then it goes, hey, how do we solve the Great Garbage Patch in the Pacific Ocean that's double the size of Texas? Oh, we'll go about it this way.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
and like,
that makes
boom,
sense.
there's the answer. When Martin Ford came on the show to talk about artificial intelligence and where they're at right now, as an author in the field, like, he used examples like, we do need to understand the process that the AI is using to get to the solution. We need to understand that. We also need to have control, because a simple request of this AI to say, and the example that he used was to make our paperclip company more efficient. And then all of a sudden the AI takes over, and within no amount of time, the AI is like pulling resources from everywhere and making an efficient paperclip company to the point where now human civilization is destroyed, but paperclips are still being manufactured very efficiently. We have to have control. We have to actually understand the process that the AI is thinking.
Right.
And get our heads around that, which is tough.
Now, the one,
if they don't think like us.
I agree.
Right?
We've got the chat room running as we're talking about this, and the Foo brings up a good question, is how many times did the AI have to solve the puzzle first? That would be interesting to know. Was it a simple, oh, this is the situation, I'm going to run some thoughts, okay, or did it actually go through trial and error? That'd be interesting to know.
Sure. And I would imagine, and we don't have the answer to this, and it's not in the news, but I would imagine that it's like it learned it, and then it was able to solve it after having learned it. I don't think that the 1 second included the learning and figuring out how to, but then when it was presented with it having learned how to deal with a Rubik's Cube, boom, did it in a second.
Like a human child, you would be like, this can move this way and that way.
So that takes time. Oh yeah.
So you'd have to teach it something.
But it's a good question. So that we'll pose that to the AI. We'll ask.
Intel has unveiled its new AI system, Pahokee Beach. It's a neuromorphic computer capable of simulating 8 million neurons. Neuromorphic engineering, also known as neuromorphic computing, describes the use of systems containing electronic analog circuits to mimic neurobiological architecture in the present nervous system. The goal of neuromorphic research is to achieve a supercomputer 1,000 times more powerful than any today. During the DARPA Electronics Resurgence Initiative Summit in Detroit on Monday, Intel unveiled a 64-chip computer capable of simulating 8 million neurons in total. Intel Labs Managing Director Rich Ulig said Pahokee Beach will be made available to 60 research partners to, quote, advance the field, end quote, and scale up AI algorithms like spare coding and path planning. Pahokee Beach packs 64 Loihi 128-core 14-nanometer neuromorphic chips, which were the first detailed in October 2017. Each Loihi Processor has a 60 millimeter die size and contain over 2 billion transistors, 130,000 artificial neurons, and 130 million synapses, in addition to 3 managing Lakemont cores for task orchestration. According to Intel, Loihi processes information up to 1,000 times faster and 10,000 times more efficiently than traditional processors, and it can solve certain types of optimization problems with more than 3 orders of magnitude gains in speed and energy efficiency as compared to conventional CPU operations. The chip consumes roughly 100 times less energy than widely used CPU-run simulation, location, and mapping methods. Intel says that later this year will introduce an even larger Loihi system, Pahokee Springs, that will deliver an quote, unprecedented level of performance and efficiency for neuromorphic workloads with upwards of 100 million neurons.
But they didn't cover what the giggle score is?
Yeah. 3 points. 1, do you remember when processors had really friendly names like Pentium, Celeron?
That's right.
So, well done. Everything is like a foreign word now. It's really tough. But you get the gist of it. 2, when can we add our crypto miners to this?
Yes.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, third question is like, and not really a question, but more of a statement. Seeing how technology has progressed and hearing now that processors are being described in terms of neurons and positrons. Like, this is the stuff of Star Trek.
Yeah. It is.
Like, we're talking a brain. This is a brain.
Right.
At 8 million... What is it? 8 million...
synapses? No, neurons?
Neurons?
Neurons.
So we're what?
How many do we
billion?
have?
A billion, I think?
Is it a better brain than we have?
No.
No, oh gosh, no.
No.
It's faster.
I don't know them. So, yeah, no, this is nothing compared to a human brain. But again, going back to knowing that that computers are starting to think.
Yeah.
And that they're building a brain out of computer chips.
Now, what I want to know, though, is how does this compare to Watson?
Oh, Watson would be nothing compared to this.
Right.
We're talking, like, in the story, talking about how this can be 1,000 times faster than any supercomputer that exists today.
Right.
But
you figure how much has been
in the
done
near
with
future.
Watson.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, we're going to do this. And by the way, it's probably going to be better by the fall. It's like,
yeah. So again, ask that question. How can we solve world hunger? You know, just answer me that. Well, first of all, you know, I got some suggestions. So it's gonna help with that kind of stuff.
Right.
If it's in the right hands. Mm-hmm. And it's just nuts. Like I am absolutely mind blown to the point of tongue tied. Yeah. Because I put everything like this in the context of Data, and Data, the Star Trek character, because that's a positronic net, that's a neuromorphic computer,
right? And
now we're actually this is like Dot, like this is the rudimentary introductory version of, hey, they've got the AI technology now, so it can think for itself, it can learn how to solve a Rubik's Cube in a second. And we've got the technology to make it fast and make it to be able to think in a very, very fast manner.
So like, you work in tech.
Yeah.
And you do a lot of...
I don't work in AI. Like, this stuff just is mind-blowing
No, but
to me.
you do a lot of service calls and, like, people calling
Sure.
in. Could you imagine if there was an AI like a micro version of this that your company bought that allowed it to VPN into people's home computers to solve their problem automatically for them? Could you imagine how that would change your industry?
There's a lot in my industry that's redundant, and by that I mean it's like repetitive.
Yes.
It's always the same thing.
But
right?
that's the thing. You take something like this that can go like that.
Yeah.
Like, how
And can
interesting would
talk.
that be?
I mean, talk to your Amazon Echo and be like, it sounds like a person.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
They can talk. They can. So, you know, there's all kinds of ominous things here, but if in the right hands, This can be a very powerful tool for good.
Right. So this has just been unveiled and developed, but autonomous vehicles are already out there, right?
Right.
Yeah, but I don't think
so. Now tie them in.
But I think
But through the internet, through Wi-Fi, through LTE or 5G or whatever you want to do, it's like it's always connected.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden you have this kind of a brain powering the neural network of autonomous vehicles.
Okay, do you remember about, I'm going to say a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, I don't know if it's a news story, but we talked about autonomous vehicles. And I said, wouldn't it be amazing if we can get to the point where traffic management through connected cars is instantaneous, where it goes based on people's driving patterns, their work hours, reading off their schedule. And now we're getting to privacy and all that kind of stuff. But you know, reading off your Google Calendar where you're supposed to be, drive time to go. You need to leave at this time. By the way, take that exit, and there's a computer somewhere that's routing all these autonomous cars. That's like you just go, I'm good.
That's this moment.
And they're making flying taxis.
Yes.
I know.
And add that to the mix.
I know.
You have no reason to be late ever.
Like, the computer made you on time.
That's an amazing point. Hey, let's take a quick look at the cryptocurrency market. This is how it looks here in 2019 before the neural network allows us to mine massive amounts of Bitcoin. So right now, Bitcoin is sitting at $9,792.67. I'll just say everything's down. Bitcoin losing, though, it's the biggest loser, $2,137.35 in the minus from last week. Facebook Libre is still sitting at $0, and I'm going to keep telling you that because one day it's going to be worth a penny. And then that's when we know that Facebook is actually doing what they said they're going to do. Litecoin is at $91.03, down 16.72. Ethereum at $213.72. Monero at $77.59. Now Torque is at 0.96 thousandths of a cent, and Turtlecoin also losing at 0.98 thousandths of a cent. Do remember, if you're going to mine, if you're going to invest or otherwise work in cryptocurrency, it's a market that never closes, and it's a market that is always volatile. So be careful and only invest what you can afford to lose. Yep.
Big thanks to Roy W. Nash and our community of viewers for submitting stories to us this week. Thanks for watching the Category 5.tv newsroom. Don't forget to like and subscribe for all your tech news with a slight Linux bias. And for more free content, be sure to check out our website. From the Category 5.tv newsroom, I'm Sasha Rickman.
And I'm Robbie Ferguson.
And I'm Jeff Weston.